Hi guys. So far this month, I've been trying to play decks other than Vanquishal because I've realized I've been kind of sick of playing Vanquishal all the time. And in the spirit of that, I've decided to take a look at another deck I used to play a lot of, which is Dinomorphia. So I'd like to tell you ahead of hand, I am using proxies in this list, but it's only for one card, and I'll get to that soon. And to be honest, this has always been one of my favorite decks. I actually brought this to a regional. Problem with this deck is back then it wasn't really a great meta to play it, but right now we're in an interesting format where this does see a bit of like playability because not a lot of people are going to be playing cards that specifically out this. There's not as much non-engine left that can out like Rextrum and stuff like that. So without further ado, let's get into the list. So starting off with our main deck lineup, we start out with 3 Theresia. Theresia is like the best card in your deck. You can't Ash this, you can't Imperman, Valor this, but Theresia, you could go normal summon and then place one of your fusion spells. Next, 2 Diplos. Diplos, you still have to play it as other Dinomorphia main deck card. Problem with Diplos is though is he's not as good as Theresia because all he does is mill like at the end and send it like on summon. Like if you open him, a lot of the plays is usually normal summon Diplos effect, Dome Theresia to the graveyard, which is still good, don't get me wrong, but it's not really great. Moving on, we play 2 Wannabe. I love Wannabe as a card. It's so unfortunate that it's not as great this format. Wannabe's still good though, End Phase and Wannabe. However, if someone does use Wannabe against you, remember this card is once per turn. It's not multiple times a turn, okay? Also, this does also not have to make you play like the cards like Fossil Dig. Next, Triple Pros, 2 Duality. These two cards don't conflict. I wanted to play like maybe Extrav, but if you're playing a Soul of the Supreme King package, which I am playing, you kind of can't afford to like play Extrav because you want to have at least the 2 Zarks always like in rotation. So 3 Pros, 2 Duality. I know back then, if you check out my friend Hieuu video, I played like the 2 Duality, 2 Fossil Dig. Fossil Dig's not that great anymore. I understand the Misk play is alright, but Misk is also a brick in hand regardless. So this is probably the better one. I have done some testing with this and it feels a lot better. However, I will say though, most of the time you're using this to banish 3 and not 6. Next, the Dinomorphias, traps, fusion spells. Play 3 of this. If you ever have this set with Theresia though, you should be trying to set Frenzy instead of Domain. Domain is good because you use it on your own turn, but Frenzy, all in all, considered is much better. However, remember, if you play against a Dinomorphia player, these only activate in the main phase, so they can't shotgun it and draw, which is kind of annoying because in the Snake Eyes matchup, they can just go draw phase, Cosmic, or like draw phase, wanted effect, yada yada. Next, 3 Intact. Intact's still really good. It's your in-archetype monster negate. Stomps people from ashing the fusion spells. And then the 1-0s. 1 Alert, 1 Sonic, 1 Brute. You don't really change this ratio. Sonic I used to play at 2. Right now we're not in a spell trap heavy format, so it's not as great. But this is basically like the great like list that you can play. Next, this is 3 Solemn Judgment. I can't find mine in time for this recording. 3 Solemn Strike and 3 Imperm. You should not be playing any sort of hand trap other than Imperm in the main deck lineup of this list, because if you do, you are susceptible to cards like Triple Tactics, Talents, Thrust, and you really don't want like to let your opponent know what you're playing going into them immediately. Next, we have 2 Ferret Flames, 3 Soul of the Supreme King, and 2 Trap Tricks. Trap Trick represents a 4th copy of every card in this deck. So it's all you always kind of have to play at least 1 or 2 of these. This is a 40 card list, by the way, because I don't want to like lose consistency with this. Soul of the Supreme King, why you want to have at 3 is basically the reason why I play Dinomorphia nowadays is because it's super cool resolving this card. So you kind of want to play critical mass of it. Ferret Flames is still good though. Sometimes if you draw a really brick hand, you actually just let your opponent attack into you, and then you let them, and then afterwards you Ferret Flame them. But unfortunately, it's like, I think one of my friends said it best. It's like Ghetto Daruma Cannon. So let's move on to the side deck first, and then I'll show you the extra. So for side deck, 3 IDP and 3 evenly. These are the only other trap cards you play. This is for breaking boards. This is really only used to like bait out an interaction if you're playing into certain matchups. A lot of times you wouldn't side this in. Into voiceless, this is a really bad side because you set 5 anyways. But into, let's say, a deck like, for example, Snake Eyes, this is still really good, forces stuff out. This is also for the same logic. This hits a lot of the meta decks right now. While like sure post Legacy of Destruction will change, I will be playing this list Wednesday, big spoiler, so tomorrow. And this will be released, I think, tomorrow as well, so people don't know what I'm playing. But this is basically what it is. Next, we play 3 Shifter, 3 Ash Blossom, and I couldn't find the last sleeve of this, but 3 Nibiru. You play these on the side because these are kind of matchup specific, first of all, and you don't want to brick on them in the main. Second of all, doesn't proc any like the triple attack, stuff like that. And with Barone being banned, it's actually kind of better because you can hit people easier with Nib now and stuff like that. But to be honest, people know I played Vanquish Soul. I was pretty sad when Barone got banned because I bought the collector rare, like super nice of it, but you know, we'll just cope with this. Shifter though, it doesn't really conflict with your deck, it's still fused. Now, moving on to the funny extra deck cards we play. So, starting off, the 1 Synchro Psychic End Punisher. You special summon this with Rexstrom and Ash Blossom. Only way to summon it, but it's super fun because you can hit 1 life points, which means you can do 15k in attack. It's like 10 high. Next, 3 Kentragina. Kentragina is still a really phenomenal card. Does a lot for the strategy. Kentragina, it's basically, you could go Dinomorphia Domain, make Kentragina, something else fused into Rexstrom, or you can straight up just go Frenzy, Kentragina, copy, Frenzy effect. The main reason why you play Kentragina is because it copy and effects, and that's like the big thing. Next, we play 3 Rexstrom. I used to be avid like sayer that this should be a 2. Actually, these are my old copies. But the problem with Rexstrom now is like, this is a pros target you want to get rid of. You can use it with it to fuse as well. And Rexstrom overall is just like a much better card now. You can't activate effects when Rexstrom like is on the field, which actually stops a lot of strategy. Let's say they add Poplar, but they can't activate it because they can't activate its effect on field because you're not able to declare it. For example, I personally played against this regional, and I think I was explaining this, but none of my Vanquish Soul cards could out this because I was locked underneath it. Next to Selbergia, one of these is fodder, one of these is for the burn effect. Honestly, I still hate this card. It doesn't do a lot. It could be better, but you know, have to make do. Next for the Zarg Suite. So we play the 1 Supreme King Zarg. Realistically speaking, you're resolving this trap card once. You actually rarely trap trick for it because of this, but you play 1 in copy of these, and you play 1 of like the card that contributed. Thank you, Spanko. I was watching his video, and I found out about this tech. This is pretty cool. You contribute this, special summon it, doesn't blow off field, doesn't lose anything. Next, we have my favorite part about this, the extra deck targets. So I know there's better targets for these, and I also know there's a justification to only play like 2, even 3 of these tops. I just like the idea of like when you go Soul Supreme King effect and just do this. This is hilarious in my opinion. So I gotta play it. I would say though, the other crystal, I think it's called Crystal Clearwing, is better than this. However, I don't have a copy, and I don't think I can proxy that card either, so yeah. Thank you for watching my deck list. I'll be taking this to locals tomorrow at around 6:30, and hopefully I'll do good at it. And if you guys are interested in how I do, I'll just tell you in the comments.